India celebrated its 75th Republic Day with pomp and show. The Constitution of Independent India came into force 75 years ago on January 26, 1950. The grand annual Republic Day parade has concluded in the Indian capital, New Delhi. President Draupadi Murmu led the country in the Republic Day celebrations. French President Emmanuel Macron was the chief guest. The president arrived in a traditional buggy, a practice that was revived after a gap of 40 years. A 90-member French contingent took part in the parade along with 2 Rafale jets and an Airbus 330 multi-role transport aircraft. The French marching contingent was accompanied by a 33-member French military band. There was special emphasis on Nari Shakti, or women power, in this year's parade. For the first time ever, an all-women tri-service contingent marched down Kartavya Path. Contingents of the Central Armed Police Forces also consisted of only women personnel. Women pilots also enthralled the audience during the Indian Air Force flypast. Also, for the first time ever, the parade featured 112 women artists playing Indian musical instruments. The parade commenced with the music of Shankh, Nadswaram, Nagad and other Indian instruments. The parade also showcased India's military prowess, from battle tanks to jammers and from fighter jets to missiles. Indian military displayed state-of-the-art indigenous defense production. The army contingents were followed by tableaus of different states and various departments of the government of India. From Arunachal Pradesh to Jammu and Kashmir, and from Telangana to Uttar Pradesh. Different state tableaus brought India's unique culture of unity in diversity to the parade. Among the tableaus from government departments, the one celebrating Chandrayaan 3's success stood out. The tableau that depicted India's feat in space technology was put up by the Indian Space Research Organization. The tableau of India's Foreign Ministry celebrated India's successful leadership at the G20 summit last September. The themes for the parade this year were Viksit Bharat, or Developed India, and Bharat Loktantra Ki Matruka, or India, the mother of democracy. The government of India announced the prestigious Padma Awards on the eve of Republic Day. Among India's highest civilian honours, the awards are conferred on people excelling in the fields of arts, education, industry, literature, science, medicine, social service and public affairs. Now, former Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, actors Chiranjeevi and Vijayantimala Bali and Bharatnatyam dancer Padma Subramaniam are among the winners of Padma Vibhushan Awards for this year. The Padma Vibhushan is the country's second highest civilian award. Bindeshwar Pathak, founder of Sulabh International, has been reconferred with the award posthumously. Late actor Vijaykant M. Fatima Bibi, the first female judge of the Supreme Court of India, Satyabrat Mukherjee, are named for Padma Bhushan. Yang Liu, chairman of Taiwan's Foxconn Group, has also been honoured with a Padma Bhushan. Next in line are actors Mithun Chakrabarti, singer Usha Uthup, former Uttar Pradesh governor and BJP veteran Ram Nayak, veteran Marathi film director Dattatreya Ambadas and Hindi music director Pyare Lal Sharma are also among the Padma Bhushan awardees. The Padma Shri Awards were announced for 34 individuals whose work has been unsung and unique. Charlotte Chopin, a yoga instructor from France, and Pierre Sylvain, a French author, have been recognized for their work. The Padma Shri Award winners for 2024 include eminent Chindu Yakshaganam theatre artist Gadam Samaya, Velu Anandachari, the 71-year-old master Sthapati sculptor who has crafted over 1,000 temples globally. Veteran squash player Joshna Chinnappa, tennis star Rohan Bopanna, para swimmer Satyendra Singh Lohia, and Dukhu Maji, a tribal environmentalist from West Bengal. These are some of the awardees who are awarded with Padma Shri. In total, the President of India approved 132 Padma Awards for 2024. 106 awards were presented last year. The list has 5 Padma Vibhushans, 17 Padma Bhushan, and 110 Padma Shri awards. 30 awardees are women, 9 people are under the category of foreigners, NRIs, or those with non-resident Indian and overseas citizenship of India. Russia and Ukraine continue to trade accusations over the fatal crash of a military transport plane that was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war. This, as a senior Russian lawmaker now says that Ukraine's military intelligence had been given a 15-minute window, warning before the plane entered the area where it was eventually shot down. Moscow accuses Kyiv of downing the plane in Russia's Belgorod region. Russia's investigation committee claims that the plane was struck by a Ukrainian-made surface-to-air missile. The crash killed 74 people on board. This includes 65 captured Ukrainian soldiers en route to be swapped for Russian prisoners of war. Although Kyiv has confirmed that a prisoner exchange was due to take place on Wednesday, Ukraine's military intelligence spokesperson has said that contrary to practice, they had not received any information about the flight arrangement. Ukraine says it had no comprehensive information about who was on the flight. Russia is calling it a terror attack, while Kyiv is seeking an international probe. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council met on Thursday at the request of Russia to discuss the downed plane. UN Political Affairs Chief Rosemary DiCarlo says that the Council is not in a position to verify the circumstances of the crash.
We understand both Russia and Ukraine are conducting separate investigations into the incident, and Ukraine has called for an international probe. The United Nations is not in a position to verify these reports or the circumstances of the crash. What is clear is that the incident took place in the context of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and ongoing war.
Ukraine aims to launch its own investigation into the incident as Russia has sole access to the crash site. Conflicting narratives from both sides are now a daily feature of the Russia-Ukraine war. Now, this comes as the Russian Defense Ministry also claimed that its air defenses had shot down a Ukrainian drone in the Belgorod region on Wednesday. The two men who faced off in the last US presidential election and appear all but certain to face off yet again later this year. Trump and Biden, they're finally putting their campaign face on. However, a poll showed that Americans are unhappy about the election rematch that came into sharper focus this week. Here's what John Robert Bolton, an American attorney and diplomat, had to say on the possible rematch.
Well, I think inevitably it will come. I think it's very unsatisfactory to a huge number of Americans. There are polls that show 70% of the population do not want a Trump versus Biden rematch. And yet right now that looks to be the direction we're headed in. So I think people are very dissatisfied with this. As I've said, I don't think either Biden or Trump are fit to be president for a variety of reasons. And it's unfortunate for the country that this appears to be the choice that the voters will have.
Immigration, one of the most politically divisive and complex matters in the US for decades, is again emerging as a top issue in the 2024 election. Bolton feels this will definitely be an important game changer.
Well, it should play a much larger role in the election than it has so far because the issues are so important. Right now, the focus and the reason this is getting distorted is disagreement over the policy with illegal immigrants coming across the Mexican border, which the Biden administration has not handled at all well, and which many people are dissatisfied with. This is a significant issue. I'm afraid it's begun to complicate aid to Ukraine, aid to Israel, and really focus on a whole range of international issues.
Americans are also getting increasingly wary of US involvement abroad. Here is what Bolton, who was also United States ambassador to the United Nations, said on Biden's handling of the war.
No, I think the Biden administration is handling it very badly, in part because it really is a wider war. This is not just Hamas attacking Israel. This is, I think, controlled by the mullahs in Tehran through their proxies, the terrorist groups, the Houthis in Yemen, who are closing the Red Sea and the Suez Canal to international maritime traffic. Hamas, obviously, against Israel. Hezbollah in Lebanon and Syria attacking northern Israel, and Shia militia groups in Syria and Iraq at Iran's instigation, attacking U.S. military and civilian personnel in those countries. Since October the 7th, these militia have attacked Americans over 150 times. So this is part of the Iranian ring of fire strategy, as they call it, around Israel and really around the Gulf Arab states too. Not recognizing that strategic picture makes it impossible to have a coherent response to it. And I think that's largely where we see the failure of the Biden administration today.
In a dramatic development, UK and Canada have halted free trade talks. The decision comes after years of negotiations between the two Commonwealth countries. Ottawa officials say the major points of dispute continue to be Canadian beef exports to the UK and British cheese imports into Canada. Canada is pushing for more UK access for its beef and pork producers. However, the Canadian farmers have complained they have been effectively shut out of the British beef market due to regulations banning the use of hormones. As the UK is the third largest trading partner of Canada, the decision is causing widespread worry in the North American nation. The Canadian Trade Minister said, and I'm going to quote here, "We are disappointed that negotiations with the UK are being paused. Their decision to continue to maintain market access barriers for our agriculture industry and unwillingness to reach a mutual agreement has only stalled negotiations." The talks that began in March 2022 are one of the several discussions the UK has initiated after leaving the European Union. The exit allowed UK to exclude itself from current EU free trade agreements. So after Brexit, an interim agreement allowed the entry of tariff-free free British cheese into Canada. Also, before Brexit, Ottawa continued with its existing trade agreements with London to ensure the continuation of free trade. The UK allowed this, hoping to gain market access it had through the European Union as well as to deepen bilateral ties. However, Canadian imports of one particular agreement dealing with British cheese ended at the end of December 2023. Additionally, several provisions of the temporary accord will run out in March.